Okay, perfect. So first of all, thank you guys for coming and for dealing with my technology issues. I promise to get better. But I'm really glad that you guys who are here, and I am looking forward to sharing this recording to the people who weren't able to make it. So like I already said, if you guys have any questions as we're going along, feel free to put them in the chat, or if you want to ask something more elaborated, you can unmute yourself and ask a question as well. And I want to kind of put it out there to you guys that like I consider myself to be a complete open book. So I actually I went back to a long time ago just today to see some conversations back and forth between me and my coach, and I asked like a lot of questions, probably more questions than anyone has ever asked before about coaching before I started. So now I know that anyone is allowed to ask any amount of questions because of the amount of questions that I asked. So anyways, I just wanted to start really quickly, just a little bit about like me and my story. I think a lot of people kind of know at least bits and pieces, but I just wanted to go over it. And if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm watching my notes to make sure that I stay kind of on track to what I want to talk about. So the way that I got started like with health and fitness is I consider myself for a long time to be like a fitness hater. Like I claimed that I hated fitness. I didn't like people who enjoyed fitness. I was very like anti fitness, but I think that like looking back, I kind of realize now that it's just because I felt as though I couldn't do it. Like I could never stick with anything. I tried going to the gym. I had a gym in my building when I was, renting an apartment. I did at-home workouts, but I could never stick with something more than like 1 to 2 to maybe 3 weeks. And then something would come up and I'd never go back to it. So I have this really, really close friend of mine, and her and I were getting together. There is such a broad spectrum of fitness, and I think that different things work for different people. So how I kind of got started with doing these programs, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but I have this friend, and her and I were getting together like about once a week or once every couple of weeks. And one time that I was going to go over to her house to probably watch The Bachelor, she was like, oh, like when the show is over, do you want to do a workout with me? And I was like, not really. I don't really like that. But I was being nice, and I did it for her, and we did the workout, and it was really hard, and it was like nothing all that special in my opinion. But then afterwards she told me she's like, oh, do you want to take like a picture with me? She's like, I have this group and we're doing this challenge, and she's like, I always take a picture at the end of my workout and I can post it in the group and you can be in it with me. And I was like, oh, okay. So then she got telling me about, like, I was kind of asking her like, what's the deal with this group kind of thing, and she's like, oh, it's on Facebook, and there's all these other women in it, like local and whatever. And she said, we all kind of help keep each other accountable, and my coach does fun giveaways and that kind of thing. And so she kind of showed me the group, and I was like, well, that's interesting, because I've never ever had that aspect of it, of like other people linked in with health and fitness. I've always kind of done something on my own and it's never worked. And so after her and I were talking a little bit, I was like, maybe that could be something to actually help me stick with it. And again, like, although I said that I hated fitness, I don't think that I really did. I think that I just couldn't stick with anything. And little did anyone know that at that point in my life, I'd been back at work for about 3 months after my mat leave. And it was when the Oilers were in the playoffs. And I went from chasing a toddler to sitting at a desk all day. And I super quickly gained like 10 to 15 pounds, which isn't that big of a deal or anything, but I was feeling really, really self-conscious. And so I was like, maybe now is the time to like kind of get into something. So she told me about her group, and then she connected me with her coach. So I didn't actually know my coach before I got started. So I joined in, and I was really, really committed because of this group that I was a part of. And that's why I'm such an advocate for this kind of group mentality. And so I signed up in like the middle of June of 2017. Of course, I did that, and then my birthday came and we went on holidays, and I didn't really get really into it until like middle of July. And I actually looked this up today. This is what I was trying to figure out, is that my coach kind of told me about coaching at the end of July, and I was kind of like, oh no, like I don't really want to do that at all. And I again asked her a ton of different questions, and I signed up as a coach in November, so it was a few months later. But it was really just like she kept doing these groups that I kept coming back to, and I kind of just got hooked on the whole process. Like I lost the weight that I wanted to lose. I loved the group mentality. I loved, having a little bit of that competing kind of thing, because she did a giveaway for, I think it was like the most amount of check-ins or something like that. So I really, really enjoyed the whole atmosphere, but I just kind of felt like I wanted to do a bit more. I was kind of like, oh, I kept having this thought, like if I did my own groups, I'd do it like this or that kind of thing. And so my coach kept kind of reaching out to me and asking me different questions and that kind of thing. So I basically gave her every excuse as to why I didn't want to coach. I was like, I'm good, like I'm just gonna keep going. I told her like I didn't have time. I was already kind of feeling at my max with going back to work and like managing like the whole work-life balance and having like a child and that kind of thing. So she kept asking, and I kept asking more questions, and I was on the fence for so long. And I honestly just had this internal feeling like something was just tugging at me to be like, you should just do it. Like, why are you making excuses? You should just do it. And so after many months, I finally did it. And it's funny because once I actually started, I was like, I cannot believe that I waited so long to do this. Like, what was really holding me back? And my coach is very amazing. She's a very kind person, and she answered all of my questions. So that was really, really helpful. And I think a lot of people now see me like I kind of coach full-time-ish, but when I first got started, that was definitely not the case, because I was working full-time. I had a toddler. I was running like our household and that kind of thing. So I started really, really part-time. I took like maybe an hour or two in the evening after we put our son to bed. Instead of like binging a bunch of TV, I would do a little bit of work, or like sometimes on my lunch breaks, I would do like a half hour's worth of work, or I'd do something on my phone on the train ride into downtown or something like that. Like I kind of just fit it in with my lifestyle at the time. And the nice thing about it is that I have found with my own experiences that it's really just gone with all of my stages of life. So like I've done this at that stage, but plus then I got pregnant. And then I was home again with 2 kids doing it. Then I kind of fell off a little bit. I really struggled with postpartum depression after my second. And so I didn't keep up the consistency that I was doing. So there was really kind of like a dip in my business, but I really, really came back to it later on. And so then like I also got pregnant with my third, unexpectedly, went back to work, was working while pregnant and had 2. And then I was of course home again with 3. And now my husband's home with us because he got laid off from his job. So I personally think that I've done all these different stages of life. And I know that that's why anyone can make this work. You can make it work in different stages of life. I've met people in the business, people that are close to me, people who have, there's this one person in particular who is a doctor, and she has 5 kids, and she has a very successful coaching business. I know people who, are working multiple jobs and they make it work. Like, it's really just what you actually want. Like, you can make really anything happen. So anyways, that's kind of how my story kind of went. And I saw like my coach's coach is very successful with the business. She lives in Stony Plain, so close to Edmonton, and she makes 6 figures and has for a number of years. Her husband actually came home from work, and then he went back because he just missed it, I guess. Like he didn't have to financially, but he went back to it. And I didn't realize that that was a possibility with this business until I met her and watched her, and I realized that that was possible. And it was something that when I started, like I literally got started because I just wanted extra accountability for myself with my own health, and I wanted to make a little bit of extra income. But then I saw that like you can actually do a lot more than that. And so then I was kind of drawn to like, maybe I do want to be at home with my kids, and maybe I don't want to work this like 9 to 5 grind and that kind of thing. And then, yeah, for your comment, Carly, about people who are super introverted, I know people that are like, I actually think of myself as introverted, but I'm like outgoing, so it's not quite the same thing. But I know people who are very quiet, very introverted. Like my coach in particular, she's very, very reserved, very quiet. And it's kind of a nice thing because of the way that our lives are, especially now, that like you can, this is might come out wrong, but like you can hide behind a computer in a way, and it does make it so much easier. Like I personally, I still feel more comfortable talking to people I don't know than talking to like my family. That's just me being honest. So I actually find it a little bit like, I don't find it super hard to do if you're introverted. I know, like I said, very many like different personalities, like if you're into Enneagram, like different Enneagrams who run this business and are very, very successful with it. Stacey, you said that even being in the group has made you a bit more extroverted. I think like there is something to that. It's just like taking that small step outside of your comfort zone. And it just kind of like builds upon it. Like if you ask my husband, I told him that I've been like freaking out for the last couple of hours about doing this call because I've never done this before. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's just mostly my own clients that are going to be on it anyways, but I'm still freaking.
Can I just add in, it's like I'm fairly introverted myself, and I do also think when you get to these groups that you don't necessarily get to choose the people in them. Well, you don't get to choose the people in them, but you just find a comfort. And it just, when I say naturally, makes me a little more extroverted, is because we're all doing the same things and we're all kind of on the same page. And it's just has made it a little easier to just like, yeah, just be you.
Yeah. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that I've seen so many people like locally and beyond that they're just, it's almost like, how do two different people do essentially the same job but do it totally differently? Like I know people who are like very, very like structured and like they like organization and processes, and they're very kind people. I see that those people and they're very successful, and I see people who are like F-bomb this and whatever, I'm gonna just show whatever, and like they're both successful. It's actually hilarious because since I've been doing this for long enough, even watching like the top coaches over the last 4 years, when I got started, the top coach that year and the following year, she's she is a self-proclaimed introvert, and so she talks about how she's like stuck in her bubble when she got started. She's like, when I got started, I had 100 friends on Facebook and no Instagram. Like she was very introverted, and she was like the #1 coach for 4 years in a row. And then the coach that was #1 for 2 years after her was the F-bomb coach. Okay. Like just very, very different. And they were both successful. So, but anyways, so just going back to what I was talking about, like I have a very, very big dream and goal and vision for myself and my life. Like I said, it's kind of gone with this very much progression of where I was to where I am now. But I know that a ton of things are possible, and watching other people do those things, I look at them and I think, they can do it, why can't I, right? So just to touch on a couple of things, that's kind of the gist of my story, but just to touch on a couple of things. Now, I know that most people that are on this call kind of have a general idea of these things just about like the fitness and the nutrition, but I'm just going to go over it really quickly just for the purposes of the recording. So as far as like Beachbody goes and the what you kind of get with it is the number one thing is obviously fitness. Like we have over 1,500 different workouts with new programs being added like 4 to 5 times a year. Plus with the interactive platform now, there's new workouts being added multiple times a day. Like it's, the value is so incredible for what you get with it, especially if you compare it to other things on the market. Just gonna add in. So that has a really great value, is the fitness aspect of it. And like I said, it's always growing, which is what makes it so incredible. You're not just stuck with one thing. You're not just paying for one program. You get a huge variety of different things you can do. And it's nice because since you can do it anywhere with a Wi-Fi connection on your phone or on your laptop, you can literally take it with you. I've had clients take these workouts to the gym with them before and do them. I've seen other people do that same thing, especially if they're traveling and that kind of thing as well. Like we travel often enough, and I like it that I can just literally take my phone or my laptop and like work out when I'm away in BC or that kind of thing. It's very helpful for me. The second thing, of course, that we have that, again, when you compare it to other things on the market, not every at-home fitness thing has a nutrition aspect that goes with it. Like I know lots of people talk about like Fit On or like different apps like that that don't have that nutrition aspect. And if they do, it's very basic in comparison to our nutrition programs. So the nice thing, how I always explain the nutrition is that they're both based on clean eating principles, but you get both nutrition programs like with your sign up package. But one is more based on portion control and it's a little bit more structured, which is great for the person who needs that structure. Or the other one is a little bit more flexible. There's still certain parameters you have to fall within, but it's a little bit more flexible and it's more so based on like your mindset and figuring out what works best for you and your goals and your body and that kind of thing. So the nice thing is that you get both nutrition programs with like when you get started. So if you want to try one out and then do something else, it's very easy to do that, which I really like. And the nice thing is that I've incorporated both nutrition programs into my whole family life. Like sometimes there might be small swaps, but like I do really like it, especially because there's such a great variety. And the really great thing too is that, and this is the part I actually sometimes think that people undervalue this, but I hate boring food. I hate boring food. So I really enjoy the fact that we get like hundreds of recipes between the two nutrition programs, and especially I think you can incorporate most of them for either program. So I really like that we get tons of different recipes and not just like a basic, chicken and broccoli or something, which you can eat that too if you want, but like things even like treats and drinks and snacks and everything in between, right? So that part is really great. In addition, there's also Facebook groups for support for either nutrition programs if you have the interactive subscription. So that part is really good too. And then with the interactive subscription, you also get additional resources, monthly videos and monthly worksheet things that you can work through with either nutrition program. So it's really it's ongoing and continual support, which I find super helpful. Let me just answer these questions here. So how hard is the Fixate program? So the structured one, I personally find it a little bit harder to plan, to make sure that you get all those containers right. But other than that, I think that it's still flexible, and you can have like treat swaps a couple times a week and that kind of thing. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet which one I like better. I do think I like the flexible 2B mindset a little bit better just because it's easier for planning, but I think both of them are really effective.
Can I ask then, so for me, like in my stage right now, I'm really just into like losing some pounds with my life. Like counting calories is not easy at all. I mean, it never is easy, but it's definitely not right now. So, and I really am liking the 2B mindset. Pretty hesitant to try the fixate, but like maybe is fixate more towards kind of like losing that last 10 or 15 pounds kind of thing, or like would I stick with 2B mindset for now until I get down? Is that kind of, does that make sense?
Yeah, so honestly, I think I know people who have lost like 100 pounds on 2B mindset. Like I follow someone in particular who her transformation is like insane. She's trying to lose her last like 8 pounds right now. But I like, you can get to your goal weight using 2B mindset. I mean, the creator did herself, right? So you like, that's kind of what I did in January is I switched back to portion fix, and I don't really know if it really was more effective. Like, I think that it's just sticking to it. And I've heard Alana Molstein say herself that, your next 10 pounds is in rewatching the videos. So that could be something that you could try if you feel like you're plateauing a little bit. I've been recommending that to people, is to go back and watch the home program or the body additions as well.
I know I'm a bit of the opposite. Like, I like the Fixate program because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and I like that it is so structured. But there's also that flexibility, and like I don't always plan as much. Like, I'll plan like one specific like meal that's off of like the recipes, and then I kind of just go from there with what I have for the rest of my containers and stuff, and that makes it a little bit easier to follow. Her videos have a lot of information, and the like reworking of them is actually like really nice. So I went through the old version, then I went through the new version, and like she has so many different like angles to look at it that it really changes like the way that if you're looking to stay the same or lose or whatever, like there's all these different options. But like for me, I just find 2B is a little bit too loose and a little too free, and just the way it's set up just doesn't work quite as well for me, and with just my relationship with food, it just doesn't quite work as well. So I went back to portion fix, and I'm actually following it to the best of my abilities. And yeah, I'm definitely seeing like it's better. It takes some time to get used to because it's actually like a lot of food on the program.
No, that's good to know. I like to know both sides of it because yes, thank you for that.
I think that both nutrition programs are extremely effective if you follow them. And I think anytime people say to me like, oh, I've tried that before, it doesn't work, it's like, but did you actually? Because I mean that with like the most love and sincerity, but like I've kind of followed it before too, and it also doesn't work. I mean, that's why I always tell people, like, if I personally don't do anything with my eating habits, and I just work out every day and drink 5 water bottles of water and have my Shakeology every day, I'm also not going to lose weight. Like I actually gain weight doing that, and it's not from muscle. It's like I have to change my eating habits. And so I think that if you stick with it, either program can work for you, but a lot of that goes back to like the mental, like what's going to work better for you. And it could even be like if you have like a little bit of like a love for either person a little bit more, like Hannah, I know that you like love Autumn, so I think that might have something to do with it, right?
Autumn stuff's just amazing, and I just keep going back to it. But I like her personality, and it just kind of connected. So
yeah,
I think that comes back to Jen, how you said the one coach and then the F-bomb coach. It's just people click with people, right?
You just connect with different people. I find that with the fitness trainers too. It's like everybody likes different fitness trainers as well. Like with my upline and her upline and all of the people above me, they love Shanti, and I'm like, I'm not the biggest Shanti lover. Like, it's a little bit too cardio. I don't mind him, like, but I don't know. That's just I think just different people. Different things work for different people, and you have to do a little bit of playing around. And I find that practice really does make perfect with it. The more you practice in either one, the better it's going to be. And the thing that I like too about both of the nutrition programs, both of them do address a mental aspect of it. So not only working on like, here's your structured nutrition program, but like working on like why are you eating these things, and like a little bit of the sciencey part behind it of like, you know, what protein is for, and you know, how this is made up and that kind of thing, which I really, really like. I'm not a big sciencey person, but I do actually really like that. And we touch on this a little bit too, that like both programs are like, they can be for weight loss and they can be used for weight loss, but they can also, there's also different things you can do for, you know, maintaining weight gain, muscle build, that kind of thing. Which I really like. And I do think that both programs are also really good of like kind of teaching you how to eat for life. So like I said, that maintain kind of thing. Like me and my mother-in-law had this conversation a while ago about like, you know, once you kind of know how to either follow the containers or how to plate your food, you can't unsee it. Like you're just, unless you're choosing to like not follow it, like you can't unsee it, right? So that's the part that I really, really like, is that you can lose weight on it, but it also teaches you how to, you know, eat healthy foods, real healthy foods for life.
Can I add in on that? Just so I'm 2B mindset, I haven't tried Portion Fix, but so while I was MIA there for a couple weeks, it was always in my mind of what to eat and when to eat it. Even though my appetite wasn't huge, I was still like, it was still in my head. Okay, I don't want like, you know, FFCs for supper. And yeah, so it's really nice to just, it's there now.
Yeah, I find it super helpful. So that kind of covers the fitness and nutrition aspect of it. And I kind of touched on this part a little bit at the beginning, but the thing that really, really sets like Beachbody apart and why I was so drawn to it was the support aspect. And you get that a little bit with some other things that are out there. But I really, really love the way that the company has pivoted and adapted things, especially in the last couple of years, because we've had the concept of accountability groups for years and years before I even got involved. But it's nice because now everything is all in one. And like some of the people who've been around for a long time aren't the biggest fans of that. They're like, oh, I want the Facebook groups back. And that's all well and fine. And some people still do that. But I really, really, really love that it's all kind of in one app. It tracks your workouts for you. You don't have to put in a bunch of details. You can, you know, it's all in one. And the nice thing too is that because they've really, really developed the app, you can use it for, you know, tracking. You can track your, you know, weight and measurements and photos in there now. You can see like the line going down with your weight loss if that's what you're after. But plus you have the group aspect as well. So you can have like the check-ins that I do in the VIP group, or, you know, I can put out like different sales that are going on or that kind of thing. And I really, really am so appreciative of the support aspect of this. And it's something that I've really never seen anywhere else, just to have like other people that like, you can even just do a simple like someone's comment or like someone's post. And I find that even that helps encourage people, and it helps other people like when they, you know, may not feel like working out, they open up the app and see that like other people are checking in and that kind of thing. So I do find those things to be like super, super helpful with that support aspect. And like I find too, like this was the thing for me, the big kicker is just using it for accountability. So having the daily check-ins really, really helps. Like, oh, you know, I want to have all fives. Like I want to post saying like I stuck to my nutrition program today, or I did my workout. I don't want to have that. And just having that in the back of your mind all the time, it really does help you kind of stick to your goals and that kind of thing. So that's kind of like the aspects of like the fitness and the nutrition and the support. And then just a couple of other things. The coaching part is really, really key as well. So like I try to work with my people one-on-one to help them achieve their goals. Like usually I check in with people individually and in the group as well. Like I'll always go on and comment on everyone's posts and that kind of thing, and cheer you on. And then it's the same thing with like the business. Like I work with my coaches who are wanting to run a business as well. Like I work with them one-on-one, help answer their questions, help point them in the right direction for trainings or what I've done in the past or that kind of thing. So, and I find that like as a coach, and this was one reason why I got started, is that I really wanted extra accountability with my own health and fitness. And I think that this is the way to do it. If you really, really want to up level your own game, this is the way to do it, because now all of a sudden you have other people looking at you. You know, you see people posting stuff on social media, like their own just journey, just for their own accountability. When you have people constantly looking at you, it's going to completely up level your game. You have people counting on you. It really, really makes a big difference. Oh, Stacey just said that she made it 32 days alcohol free. That's amazing. That's so good. That's not easy to do when you're not used to it, right? So that's awesome. Like accountability really, really does work. So anyways, but back to what I was saying, like I do definitely think that like if you really want to up level your game, coaching is the way to do that. You have other people looking at you, you have other people seeing what you're doing and what you're up to, and it's an extra push that I think is very, very helpful. And that is one of the main reasons why I got started, is because I still felt like I was struggling with especially my nutrition, and I knew that this would help because I wanted to get, you know, good results. So a couple other, I'll try and do this like pretty quick because I'm getting low on my time here, but a couple of other reasons of why I initially got started is I wanted a creative outlet. I never really had my own thing that was like just for me. Like different people are like into, you know, crocheting or playing soccer. Like I didn't really have anything like that. So this was kind of my thing and my baby, aside from my actual babies, that I just wanted to kind of make my own. And it really, really has helped me kind of work on something that's just for me, that's also good for me. So it's not only helped me with my physical health, but my mental health and my emotional health as well. And I remember like very, very specifically, because I remember feeling like I don't have time to do this. Like I'm already struggling and at my max for trying to do this whole work-life balance thing. So I remember asking my coach, like, okay, how much money do you actually make? Because I want it to be worth my time. Like I don't want to be putting in all this work and then getting paid next to no money. So she told me then that she was making like, she said $500 to $1,000 a month. And like I can tell you from my own experience that I usually make about a couple, at the start I was making about a couple extra $100 a month. It's pretty easy to do that right out of the gate. And of course it can expand upon that as well. And yeah, and like I also saw, like I said, my coach's coach, like she makes six figures. And so I saw from that, like what the actual possibilities and potential is with this business. It turned into like me wanting it to be worth my while, to like, wow, this thing can like really do something for my life and my family's lives. I'm just going to read this comment. How do you recommend dealing with feeling like you don't deserve to be a coach yet? The whole, I'm not in great shape, I'm overweight, so why would someone want to have me as their coach? Okay, so this is something that so many people struggle with, because they're like, oh, I'm not a, like, even my own husband has kind of said this to me, because I think he like kind of wants to, but he's like, oh, I'm not at my goal. I'm like, nobody wants you at your goal. That's not exciting to watch. Nobody wants a finished project. Like, think of reality TV. Like no one wants to see the end of like who won Big Brother. No one cares about that. They want to see everyone go through the challenges. So I really truly believe that, like, I mean, even if you, like, I know people who have gotten started with their health and fitness and started as a coach the same day, and they're just showing up every day, and people are really, really, really drawn to that. People want to see the start to finish, or the midway to finish, or the start to midway, or whatever it is. Like, you really don't have to be a perfect person. And I think more people are actually drawn to that progress. So once I kind of got started and I was able to see the potential and that kind of thing, I realized how great of a gift this really was. I didn't understand the depths that this business actually has. So I know with COVID, it's a little bit trickier right now, but I was able to see this incredible community of like hundreds of other coaches within Team Beachbody, a lot of local people with, you know, my upline, because she has a larger organization and that kind of thing. And we got to meet up at quarterly events, and we got to go on different trips. I've shared a little bit about how I'm going on a trip to Punta Cana next month, and that I've like earned from working my business and earning an income. I also, basically the company was like, hey, you're doing a good job, you've earned enough points, whatever you want to refer to it as, here you can get a, you know, 4-night stay at this amazing resort. So there are so many different trips and things like that. We have an annual coach summit that anyone who's a coach can go to. I know people who go just because they want to work out with the super trainers, which is like so awesome. Plus different like incentives. They have different like incentives and prizes that happen every month and that kind of thing. Like just even different things like winning a t-shirt and that, like some of them are small and it's not really that big of a deal, but like I always say, like I would do some shady stuff for a free shirt. Like it's hilarious. Stacy said, having a coach fighting for the same thing and reaching their goals is pretty energizing. Incentives. I'm a huge incentives person. I'm like obsessed. But yeah, just like I also watched, like I said, my upline, shortly after I got started, we expanded to the UK, and they paid for her to go to the UK to like present to coaches over there. Like it's crazy the amount of things that are really, really possible with this business. Okay, I'm down to 2 minutes. So in closing, I just wanted to just really mention that, like, I think that this business has brought me personally through a ton of different ups and downs. I mentioned that a little bit at the start, but like, I personally don't think, because I got started after my first kid, I don't think that dealing with postpartum and an unplanned pregnancy, I don't think that I would have come back to not only health and fitness, but like come back mentally if it wasn't for this business. If it wasn't for this business saying, you need to work on yourself, you need to work on your health, you need to work on your mental health. Like this business did that for me and has brought me coming back time and time again, no matter what kind of a rut I've been in. And it's because of doing this. Like it has brought me back so many times. I can honestly say that I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for this. And like, I personally think that if I can go from like someone who hated fitness and who would say no to every single home-based party and hated anything to do with that, if I can go from that to what I am today, I think that this business is honestly for anyone if you want to do it and you want to put your mind to it and you want to learn and you want to grow. I personally think that Beachbody is a different business. It's not like anything else that's out there. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate for it. I can say that definitely this has changed my life, and there's been such a progression, especially throughout COVID and that kind of thing. And I'm just so grateful. So if this kicks us off, you guys can just come back on in case there's any more questions. It'll probably just stop. I'm hoping it just stops the recording. But
yeah, it should just stop the recording and we should be able to come back on.
okay.